Now, let's talk a little bit about the complete personal management process. It starts with a capture, that is, about obtaining the person. First, we need to identify what are our needs. Then we need to design the profile that we're going to use in the hiring of this person. Then we have to attract them, that is, make the call. The call in the sense not of the decision, but the call in the sense of calling them to us, attracting them. And to do that, you need to know how to develop the message, how to write a good ad. Because if you write it wrong, you will get the wrong people. You need to know how to manage the media, the social networks, newspapers, radio, whatever, LinkedIn, whatever is proper and applicable to that position. Most certainly, you're not going to publish in the Wall Street Journal for day laborers, for example. And obviously, you're not going to publish for a search for an executive, perhaps in WhatsApp or in Twitter. You've got to match both the message and the media in order to be able to achieve results. Then we go on to selection. How do we select among all the candidates? We need to be able to evaluate them, be it background evaluations, technical evaluations, knowledge evaluations, psychometric evaluations. And once we have all that baggage of information, then we can select whom we're going to interview. And in this case, you need to know how to make a very good interview. There are a lot of courses out there that you can check out, but generally speaking, we're talking about structured interviews, that is, interviews where you repeat the questions and there's only those questions to go. Then you have a semi-structured, that is, you have some questions and also you have some parts where you can allow the interviewee to express or delve deeper. So there's more of a leeway in order to be able to find out or delve deeper into the interviewee's characteristics. Of course, you can also have an open interview. That is, you just go in and you start interviewing the person and you allow the interview to go wherever the chat goes. Negotiation. Once you select a person, you will need to negotiate their full pay package. Always in negotiations, try to be as honest as possible and don't try to take advantage of a person. Why? Because that person will find out sooner or later that they have been built out of something if you just go with a very miser mind and try to pinch pennies. They will find out that they are not being paid equally for the same job, and that will create a potential problem for you, because that will be an employee that's not happy. So always be honest and always concentrate yourself in paying for what the job has been done, not paying what you negotiate downwards with the person. Once you finish the negotiation, then you go on to contracting. Make sure that the contract is clear and that it works for both parties. Because again, if you create a contract that is very good for the company and very bad for the employee, you won't have a very good employee. Sooner or later, you will have problems. And always remember, the contract even though a lot of people say that is excellent for the beginning or for starting, the main use of the contract is for when the relationship ends, especially if the relationship ends badly. If it ends up in a fight, the contract is the only thing that will shield both the company and the employee from having further problems. So the contract is really the crux, or the apex, better to be said, of this process. And then we close the capture with the integration phase. That is to say, when we introduce the new employee to the company and we show them how to do the job in our place. Then we go on to the second phase, that is retention. In retention, we have career management. We have in career management we will be explaining and we will be managing throughout the employee's tenure in our company how they develop them. So we start with how things work in the company. This is where we tell them the naked truth. Also we tell them how he or she will develop and grow in our company. For example, we might have a work ethic of being either up or out. Either the person grows or they leave. That's what we mean by UOO. We can have a ladder, that is to say we grow by steps, whatever is applicable to our workplace. Always remember, being more clear, being more transparent. The more clear, the more transparent that you are with the employee, the better for everybody, because they will know what the rules are and they will know what to expect. Then we go on to training. What type of training will they be receiving usually during their career in our company? How many hours they must comply, or how do we use the training for this person to grow in their career path? Second, we need to talk about human resource management per se. That is to say, during their tenure, how do we evaluate their performance? Be there group evaluations, 360, 180, 90s, whatever other evaluations you use, or if there are single evaluations, you just put one-on-one to make the evaluation of their performance. We need to talk about mentoring. How do we assign somebody who will be responsible for developing further that person in the company? We need to talk about coaching and the difference with mentoring. In mentoring, the mentor guides the person along a path. In coaching, the coach helps the coachee to really find out their way in order to grow. It's different. In one case, the path is given by the person who has superior knowledge. In the other case, the coach presents questions, but the path is defined by the person, the coachee. Then we also need to know a little bit about the administrative aspects of what happens in the company. What types of controls do we have? Do they have to check their card every day when they arrive? Do they have to log in a software? Whatever. The controls that are applicable in our organization. We need to talk about the different forms that must be filled regularly and why are they needed. We need to explain what is the short-term social security, be it healthcare, dental care, all those aspects. And we also need to talk with the employee about all the long-term social security. All these things are needed just for the retention. And then we go to the last part, that is separation, when the person leaves the organization. The person can leave voluntarily. Why? Because they want to, period. But that voluntarily can be either in good terms with the company or in bad terms. And we must always try to get to be in good terms. Why? Because we avoid a lot of costs related issues. When the person goes out in bad terms, we won't have goodwill towards the company. And that is bad for business. Even if they are leaving voluntarily, we try to make things as good as we can. Sometimes we can't avoid having a problem. Yes, that's true. But always try to be on the good side of things. Why? Because it's good business. Less problems means less costs. Now, the separation can also be forced. Why? For example, if the employee has committed something, a fault, that we regard as not acceptable, we will separate him. And that is a separation with cause. And that has certain conditions attached to it. In other cases, for example, we have to separate the employee for factors that are attingent to the company. For example, if we're talking about a reduction of personnel, reorganizational, crisis, whatever. But again, we will try to be, if at all possible, in good terms. Usually when it's a forced separation, people are not going to be happy. If they are being forced out by cause, we must be very clear and very, very rigorous about applying it. And you have to document it all so that you won't have a problem later on. And this is what would conclude for the complete personal management process. Our lesson will continue in the next video.